时间不办公，一个人都没有啊。
别说高热的地方，你就说西访办。
西访办、北安县访办，上班时间不在岗。
Time and time again, I gotta turn that blind and tell these hoes that I am the HAIC that teach the way these hoes. I'll be on that shit that I had you on that I don't want no more. And just time and time again, I gotta turn that blind and tell these hoes that I.
收破烂，拜头拜铁拜指甲，收破烂嘞，收破烂，拜头拜指就踩地啊，收破烂。
不好意思啊，这些东西我都像那个对着你这个桌子的文章那个出来的，不好意思啊，好不好？这些东西搁了点啊，好了。还有一些那个遗物，交给你，要不给他看一下，好吧？
行了。
哎，好吧。
他有没有锁我是吧？我打电话我没接，行了。
不行，你注意好好喝血啊，好吧？哎，好，我听不得。观众朋友们，大家好，我是老张。今天我们在一条河这里，然后看进去，现在已经下起大雪了。如果这个雪一直持续下的话，我估计今年的粮食还要减产。因为18年的时候，虽然说是倒春寒，但是没有下这么大的雪。那一年的小麦减产了1/3，今年的雪下的实在是太大了，超乎想象。4月10号下了这么大一场，这现在槐花都快开了，然后绿油油的，来了一场大雪。弄得格格不入。现在小麦长得是非常高，然后上面都是白茫茫的一层大雪。我们待会儿到地里面去欣赏一下麦田里面的雪，估计这个时候的麦田里面的雪很少有。好吧，现在知道。现在我们已经到地里边了，到我们的地里边看一下身后白茫茫的一片。说实话，这场雪比冬天每一场雪下的都特别大。如果像这路面上的雪不化的话，然后这边的雪是非常轻的。看一下这青草，现在都返青了，然后这个小麦也是非常高了。还有这里，看一下这草都是非常旺盛的，估计这次真的要给冻死了。然后我们就不在这里拍了，实在是太冷了。
龙高高有人了。
有人问我是怎么感染的，这是我最不愿提起的一段经历。1月19号，我们到湖北武汉，当时报了一个武汉团，然后跟着这个团一起出去旅游，后来就被确诊了。然后有人问我后悔吗？我肯定的告诉大家，我很后悔，因为当时我另外2位小伙伴被确诊以后啊，就是重症，而且都下了病重通知书，甚至几度出现了生命危险，你家人都通知到了。那个时候我真的好后悔，我说为什么我当时不多坚持一点点，坚持不去，也许我们就可以躲过这场灾难。
张先生介绍，小区安保每人匹配警棍、钢叉等，还做了擒拿培训。
一个防护服外边套一个防弹衣，但是那也不是防弹衣，防刺服。培训的时候让我们就站上硬汉嘛，然后给我们讲，这个东西怎么用，就是像那个钢叉啦，电击棍啦，还有是盾牌啦，还有辣椒水啊，什么东西该怎么用，然后还教我们一些战术，比如说有什么突发情况，是怎么实施，教我们一些什么擒拿什么东西，但是以前把它治不了，但是我们没有指导权的，把它按照以前们控制住，然后只能打电话。
张先生表示，工作期间曾亲眼所见，一位90岁老大爷，儿女因封城不能回来，不幸独自在家中去世。
一个90岁的一个大爷，他是独居老人，他在家，他的儿女给他打电话打不通，儿女着急啊，打电话就打到社区来了，一直联系我们，比如说13栋几单元就是市里有一个大爷，儿女给他打电话就打不通，你们去看一下，那就看一下呗，在他门口给屋里打电话，能听见电话的声音，屋里有电视声音在播着，但是就是没人开门，能打电话给老人打电话，老人有声音，手机在震动，这事完蛋了。直接叫楼下消防，因为我那是消防站是嘛，直接叫消防上去了，把门给他拆开了，开门一看，90岁老人躺地上了，没了，独居老人，因为这疫情搞得他的儿女不能回来，直接联系救护车，然后就把老人拉走了。
张先生表示，真实死亡人数肯定3000人不止。
咱们普通人们都知道，他们那个3000的死亡人数3000只是临床患者，今天还有部分人连床都没有等到，就完了。有的是，真的有的是，没得治。我听还有撒钱的人，还有跳楼的。
新唐人记者顾晓华、妍希采访报道。
能吃饭吗？
我这个时候可以能吃饭。
那你这个时候可以签字吗？
这个时候不可以签字。
可以吃饭不可以签字啊？
啊，不可以。
那你工作现在谁带你？
啊？
你的工作现在谁带你？
谁在的？
你现在的工作谁在带你？
谁在带的？什么
对啊，
我都听不明白。
听不明白？
啊。
那你是现在坐在这里干嘛？
坐着等着要工资的。
等着要工资啊？
啊，对呀。
不干活？
不干活，就这。
那么牛逼啊？
啊，是噻，是。
我的。
行，走，不签了。不签了。不是，不签了。
河南当官还可以这样当啊？
我们的官太牛了嘛，没办法呀，老百姓要求的很轻了吧。
In New York, there's no end to the sadness. Bodies are taken to temporary morgues outside hospitals that are filled to capacity. There were nearly 10,000 new cases reported in the state in 24 hours. Across the U.S., there's still an alarming surge in case numbers in new hotspots. New Jersey and Pennsylvania are seeing their numbers rise dramatically, raising deep uncertainty about when life could return to normal in the U.S.
Downing Street says Boris Johnson's thoughts are with those affected by the terrible disease. He's also thanked staff at the hospital, where he began walking around a ward a day after his release from intensive care.
Shortages of critical medical supplies have prompted a call to arms, not seen since war times, to repurpose and boost production of face shields, masks, protective clothing and ventilators. Security experts believe the government needs to look beyond medical equipment to storing and making more products in Australia,
so that we are not hostages to fortune for just-in-time supply, particularly from China.
Indonesia is nowhere near its COVID-19 peak, yet burials in its capital are up a mammoth 40%.
Itu melonjaknya hampir 100%, Pak.
Usually we sell 5 coffins a day, this man says. Now it's up to 30.
To contain the coronavirus, the Indian government has chosen to confine all of its 1.3 billion residents. Success varies city to city, state to state. Some areas are eerily empty, with few people venturing out. But for the millions living below the poverty line, confinement isn't an option. The pandemic has dried up work and caused a mass exodus.
Doing it. Yeah, go ahead. OAN in the back.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a national security question back to Venezuela and China.
Venezuela, go ahead.
your administration has placed a $15 million bounty on Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro. And we have news this morning that President Xi is talking with Nicolas Maduro, expressing his financial support for Maduro. So 2 questions. 1, have you discussed with Dr. Xi or President Xi the U.S. policy on Maduro? And 2, how does this affect U.S. policy with regards to its war on anti-narcotics?
We will not be happy if that takes place. I have not spoken to President Xi of China about Venezuela, about that aspect of Venezuela. But if that took place, we will not be happy. Okay? I will not be happy.
Are you concerned that he's opening up another financial avenue?
I'm concerned about everything. That's why I don't sleep a lot. I get myself concerned about everything, but I would not be happy about that.
All right, let it be known that this was the week the CDC made it very clear we think face masks are a good idea. And now that has become sort of the rigueur du jour across the country. You might notice it trying to step into a grocery store, almost any store, even picking up food for delivery, that they are now asking very strongly, if not demanding outright, that you wear a face mask. Now, the CDC had instituted that policy after going back and forth, thinking that that might be the best way to contain it. Other health officials have echoed that. Steve Harrigan now with the latest from the CDC in Atlanta. Steve.
Neil, some very tough numbers to deal with this week. 2,108 Americans died just yesterday from the virus. That is the largest single death toll since this crisis began. More than 500,000 cases in the U.S., 18,000 deaths, and that death toll has almost doubled in just the past week. New York State has about 1/3 of those cases. The economy, too, taking a tremendous hit. 16 million workers have lost their jobs since this crisis began. President Trump said yesterday the decision to possibly reopen the economy could be the biggest decision he's ever made in his life. Currently, the stay-at-home orders will end on April 30th. And finally, a debate in many states over church services for Easter tomorrow. Here in Georgia, the governor is leaving it up to pastors to decide. In Florida and Texas, those states have exempted religious organizations from any stay-at-home orders. And finally, in Kansas, they've gone back and forth. They've made a reversal. The governor initially issuing an executive order, no gatherings of more than 10. Then the Republican lawmakers overturned that, a move the Democratic governor said was shockingly irresponsible. Neil, back to you.
All right, Steve Harrigan, thank you very, very much. That made some news, certainly in California, as Steve said, where the Democratic governor was surprised by Republicans' push to go ahead and have people celebrate, or at their discretion, tomorrow for Easter Sunday.
The underground Christian church, the evangelical Christians, are a particular target. Can you explain to us what the life is for a Christian in China?
Well, the life for a Christian in China, if you are trying to actually study the Bible, if you're actually trying to follow Christianity in terms of orthodoxy, in terms of doctrine, and you're not willing to go to those sort of approved official churches in China, it's very repressive. You're either meeting in homes that move around on a regular basis. One week you're in someone's house, the next week you're in someone else's house. Because remember, the Chinese Communist Party, they don't just employ this social surveillance in terms of digital processes that exist. They've had surveillance going back since the start of the party. What they do is they include community watchers, neighborhood watchers. Every building you live in, every dormitory has at least one person who's a member of the party or on the party payroll, and their job is to keep track of the daily lives of every single person in that area. I mean, this is down to your very apartment building will have somebody watching you from the party. And of course, every work center, every school, every classroom in some cases, especially if they think one of the professors is starting to go off the reservation or if the students are getting a little uppity. So they're keeping a very close eye on who's meeting, when they're meeting, why they're meeting, what they're up to, even to the level of who's marrying who, what sort of traditions people are following. This is all kept track of on a very regular basis, on a very personal, intimate basis. The intimate details of your personal life are known to the party and are kept in party ledgers at the small level. And the Chinese people know this. So to be a house Christian and to take part in one of these organizations is I mean, it's incredibly dangerous. It's almost like it is actually like being part of a resistance movement within China. And it really speaks to the faith of these people, to their level of belief that they'd be willing to risk life and limb of being thrown into one of the black prisons that's not on the books, of being disappeared. They'll sometimes meet outside on the outskirts of the cities. That's Cardinal Zen is, of course, famous for that. And this is the life of an everyday underground Christian, house Christian, but we're now seeing, and it's hard to, kind of wrap your arms around what the actual total of this is, but we've seen numbers 30 million, 40 million, 50 million, and growing of Christians in China that are operating and getting the faith and building up. And their point is, they're not there to necessarily challenge the party, but the party used them as a challenge because, and as I think you stated again and again, they view any authority that's over them as a challenge to their authority.
他说他现在我们要问一个问题，我们党我们国家在海外资产多少谁知道？大家全傻眼。朱镕基说我那时候还有个谱啊，最起码有个大账啊，咱们这个委员会还是知道的，常委会啊。现在谁知道？中国已经没有常委会了，谁在这儿常委会那你就是 out 了。我最早告诉中国只有国家安全委员会，谁知道？国家安全委员会知道，人大知道，政协知道，知道把你毙了，把你知道。说这是个大事儿啊！如果美国和西方把这东西给亮出来，我们就完了，老百姓就上街。那时候老百姓没粮食吃，结果你给你亮出这个银行是假的，这不就完了？更重要的事情，中国有多少人失业？他还说失业大潮只要突破5000万啊，这里边有个概念大家有的啊，失业大潮就是说你有固定的职业，失业我说是5000万，如果说那临时工什么，这已经到上亿了啊，因为那是定义为农民，你这个打工就是第二产业，在中国这是很荒唐的啊，因为你的职业是农民，你回家种地去，这不叫失业，你就返乡啊，返乡。真正你就是靠职业，你没有地，靠着在外面工作的、打工的，在城市里的，或者在乡村的，真正的职业就是靠工作的，世界5000万。只要是这个5000万数一到，大家你知道什么概念吗？这个5000万跟中国的 GDP， 跟中国的各行各业啊，都将有巨大的关系，整个国家的安全都会出现问题。所以这次上海会议啊，他们真感到害怕。